Friday, and they've got it at 7 a.m., 8 a.m., and 9 o'clock. And that leads the class is over 70 years old. That's what but she has all three of the voices. And it's at True in Annapolis. It is wonderful because you can exercise without hurting. Yes. Where my and women wear everything from their swimming sweater. Yes, but she doesn't have to wear a swimsuit if she doesn't want to. She can wear like as well.
Battery might be dead. You go get your lunch.
Yeah. If there's waiting. Remind her. And that I do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9. 7, 8, and 9. That's why I really Hi, Bill. I'm nervous right now. Oh, I know. I'm all nervous. I'm nervous. This is my first time. I know what you have your heart to be, but
Me too.
Hey, Bill, I texted Deanna and she never replied back to me. She's not a texter. But I did text her too. Why don't they just do that from the screen? YouTube it, right? It's a link. You can watch it later. And I'll watch it later. You can see me sweat on the blades up here.
And good afternoon, everyone. It's time to begin, even though it's time to begin early, our Thursday afternoon meeting of the Rotary Club of Tyler. Is everybody happy? Yeah, that's what I want to hear. I want to thank, as always, our lovely and talented pianist, Miss Vicki Conway. Give it up for Vicki, guys. Yeah. And then it's time for our national anthem and pledge of allegiance. David Jones is scheduled to do that, but he's not here, so please welcome Larry Wickham.
Yay. Thank you. Let's stand together for the pledge and the national anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. When the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Thank you.
Y'all can take your hands off your heart now. Let's have a word of prayer, and then we'll introduce our guest, okay? First, I'd like to say, I was driving up here, and I was, in my mind, I was saying, what do I say in my prayer now? So I want to be, the spirit that I have when I'm in this room is there's a lot of unity here. You know what I mean? There's a spirit of friendship here. There's a willingness to want to be part of something bigger than ourselves. And so I just want us to bow and thank God for that, okay? Lord, we do thank you for our club. We thank you for everyone here. Thank you for the friendships that we have. Thank you for that we care for one another and the people that sit at our table with it, even when we meet strangers, that we want to reach a hand of friendship out. And Lord, we thank you that we can care outside this club, and we can be used by you to bring hope to other people, to bring blessings to other people. Thank you for the opportunity to do that. And we thank you for this meeting today and our food. In Christ's name I pray, amen. Amen. Have a seat. Do we have any Rotarian guest here today? Any Rotarian guest anywhere? Speak up or ever hold your peace. Why? Have we run them off? Bill, do you think we've run them off, Bill? We don't see them here very often.
I guess we need to up our game a little bit.
We like other Rotarians to show up here too, especially from out of town. How about guests? Anybody guest up back here that come this way? We're gonna save you you don't get to be introduced yet. You just have to hold on there a little bit. Back here? Guest. Boy, this is a quiet room. You always have a guest over here. No? Thank you, guest, for not coming. No, thank you, guest, for coming. Get up here. We'd like to have guests. Y'all can bring some.
It's not that they're being quiet, David. We had to start early today because we got a lot of work to do, and it kind of throws everybody off their rhythm.
Did I talk too long?
No. You did a very good job. Well done, well said. So David, thank you so much. I want to thank our greeters, Peter Vasquez and Dixie Walker. Thank you both. Well done. And now, for one of the best things about Rotary is inducting new members. So at this time, I would like to bring up the very shy, very unassuming, quiet
What are you trying to say? No.
Rachel Ewart.
Oh, no, you did not.
What did I do wrong?
Rachel Ewart.
Ewart,
Rachel.
Rochelle, okay.
Gina's not here.
Huh?
Gina's not here.
Here you go. Are you ready? Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous.
Hey, y'all. I'm pretty excited. Of course, I've met so many wonderful, wonderful people here. I've got the privilege today of presenting a couple of new Rotarians, as well as Tom Perkins, who's transferring from South Tyler Rotary, right? And April is his sponsor. Let's see here. I've got Blake Bevel, who has been proposed by Alan Johnson and Austin Luce. That's their sponsor and approved for membership in this club by the Board of Directors in accordance with the Constitution and bylaws of the Rotary Club of Tyler. Woo! Approval indicates that this candidate is a worthy representative of he or she calling and supportive of the ideals of Rotary. He, since he's a he, reflects the high ethical standards expected of all Rotarians and understands that service above self is not just a motto, but a goal that all Rotarians strive for, absolutely. He has agreed to accept the obligations attached to membership in Rotary and understands that he will represent Rotary in his public, private, and social life. So when do we call him? Right now? So Blake, come on up. Tom Perkins, come on up. Thank y'all for bearing with me. This is new for me, so. Yes. And Gina is also a new Rotarian. She hasn't been able to make it yet. So, yes, Austin, come on up. Come on up. And should Bill and Donna come up for Gina or?
Gina is not here. So we will
So
give Gina to.
I got you. Yay. Yes. Good to see you. Okay. God, I'm so nervous here. His name of candidate proposed classification. Okay. Yes. Isn't that awesome? Such a blessing. Yes. 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 Very much so. Yes. Yay, Austin. Okay. So, you're asking. Sponsor includes name of candidate, proposed application, and brief biography, including class. So he does that, right?
Well, he can. Or Blake can introduce himself.
I would love that, Blake.
I'll be introduce myself.
Take it over.
All right. Howdy, everyone. My name is Blake Bevel. I've been here in Tyler my whole life. My family goes back a couple of generations and all that. I'm third generation in my family's business called Pro Forma. We do printing and promotional products. We're located down there in White House. So look forward to joining this great group. And as Dr. Knoll mentioned, doing something bigger than myself. So look forward to it and look forward to meeting all y'all as well. Thank you.
Okay, now, oh, I don't need my.
Oh.
So go ahead and finish this one and then go to the next one, is that correct? Okay, sorry, y'all. Thank you for being patient. Austin, we're gonna ask you these questions since you're his sponsor. Does Blake know the four-way test and understand that it is to be applied to all he thinks, says, and does?
Yes.
Blake, you have been informed of the requirements of membership in Tyler Rotary. Do you accept them, agree to uphold the ideals of Rotary, and be a vital and active part of this club?
Yes.
Love it. Good job. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the Rotary Club of Tyler, you are hereby inducted into membership. Yay! Here is your new member packet, which Bill just gave to you, and your new member badge, which we are getting that for you, right?
It's actually right.
Oh, it's already there. That's stinking awesome. She's on. Holly rocks, man, let me tell you. Okay, Austin will present your Rotary emblem, which you may wear with pride as you join more than 1 million other Rotarians around the world. Bam, I love it. Blake, is there anything you would like to say to your Rotary Club besides what you just said?
Thank you for having me.
Amen. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and join me in welcoming our newest Rotarian, Blake Bevel. I'm working on this, y'all. Thank y'all so much for being patient here. And now I have the privilege today of presenting Tom Perkins, who is transferring over from the South Rotary Tyler Club. Has been proposed by April, which Holly is standing in for April today. Thank you, Holly. And approved for membership in the club of the board of directors in accordance with the Constitution and bylaws of the Rotary Club of Tyler. Approval, do I read that again? I need to, okay.
As he's transferring, it's just, we want to formally recognize him and he can do a little
I
spiel.
love it. Yes, yes, yes. Holly for April, we got that, we got that, we got that. Four-way test, you got it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It certainly is a pleasure to be here. I have been a Rotarian for a number of years now. At some point, I realized having an office here in National Park, it made more sense to drive a block to this club instead of all the way to South Tyler Rotary. And I found that I've absolutely enjoyed meeting members of this group and look forward to being a vital member of this organization. I married a Tyler girl, but I am a native East Texan. I grew up in Mineola. I've heard people say that's north of Sabine, so I'm a Yankee, but I'm trying to fit in as best I can. We've lived here since about, I guess we moved in 2011. Definitely a Tyler right by choice. And when we moved here, we'd had 20 addresses in 21 years of marriage prior to that. Spent a little time in the Army and in sales, and that moved us around. But when I got to Tyler, I told myself I was going to invest myself in this community. 20 addresses, we couldn't hang pictures on the wall, much less invest in the community. But I couldn't have picked a better community to invest in because the return on that investment is tremendous for both me and my family. So thank you. Look forward to getting to know each of you more.
Okay, Holly, does Tom know the four-way test and understand that it is to be applied to all he thinks, says, and does?
Yes, he does.
Yay, yay. Tom, you have been informed of all the requirements of membership in Tyler Rotary. Do you accept them, agree to uphold the ideals of Rotary, and be a vital and active part of this club? Good answer, good answer. On behalf of the board of directors of the Rotary City, blonde moment, now I got dark hair now, so I can't say blonde moment anymore. You have been informed of the requirements of membership in Tyler Rotary. Do you accept them, agree to uphold the ideals of Rotary, and be a vital and active? I already asked that. Thank y'all, just making sure. On behalf of the board of directors of the Rotary Club of Tyler, you are hereby inducted into membership, transferred over officially. Love it. Here is your new member packet and your new member badge. You got that? God, y'all are awesome. So you've got that. Holly presented the Rotary emblem, which you may wear with pride, of course. Sorry, y'all. Tom, is there anything else you would like to say? You're good. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and join me in welcoming our newest transfer Rotarian, Tom later, or how does that work?
Yeah,
Okay, okay. Thank you all for being patient with me. I really appreciate it.
Rachel Ewert. Actually, she was.
Rochelle,
Rochelle.
I'll never forget it for the rest of my life.
Thank you. I won't let you.
By the way, Blake and Tom, I'm gonna ask Fran Hall to stand. Stand up, Fran.
Come on, friend.
Come on. But Blake, Tom, you're already familiar with a lot of the Rotary principles and everything, but if you have any questions about the club, or Blake, if you have any questions about Rotary, she's the one you go to, okay? All right, thank you, Fran.
She's like, okay.
And thank you, Rochelle.
Thank you, darling. Sorry.
That's all right, that's all right.
I'll get better with time.
Okay, let me see here. Rotary Business Camp V. Box lunches will be from Azalea Catering on October 14th. Please turn in your order form and prepay by October the 7th. Cost is $15. And please continue to RSVP to Holly each week so that we can get a good head count here for folks at Holly Tree. And also send your September volunteer hours to Holly. And next week's program will be Commissioner Neil Franklin. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for me to bring up the greatest president-elect ever. Yes, sir. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Allison Cameron, to introduce today's speaker.
Such approbation, I cannot. Our guest speaker for today is a mom, a grandma, a leader in her church praise team, a respite volunteer for a foster system, and an executive director for the Tyler Civic Theater Center. In her late 20s and early 30s, Deanna Hargrove managed her own performing arts studio in Dallas before relocating here to Tyler in 1991. 9 years later, after a very successful career in really furniture sales and so forth, she came to the Tyler Civic Theater Center with a strong background in drama, but also managerial expertise that TCTC needed desperately at that time in order to grow its small educational program. She spent the first 10 years of her community theater center career expanding the STAR program, which stands for Summer Theater Arts Review Camps, and she was able to grow it from 2 workshops to 16 sessions, and building an after-school conservatory program for students from preschool to seniors in high school. In 2010, Deanna followed in the footsteps of founder Al Gillum and his predecessor, John Woods, and became both director and manager for the theater, and her second decade now, she's with TCTC. She now has a total of 21 years with the nonprofit organization. When COVID threatened to upset the theater's run of 72 years of continuous seasons, Deanna switched hats once again and shifted her focus to where it was really needed. With the support of a strong working board of governors and a community of believers that believe in the worth and the value of a strong theatrical entity that promotes and showcases area talent, Deanna was able to work with an advisor and a mentor to raise the entire year's budget and to help the theater to survive and recover. Steadied by the $300,000 that is necessary to continue operations, Tyler Civic Theater is in full swing and is managing best practices to keep patrons and volunteers from becoming sick, but also to have theater healthy by keeping doors open and theater alive. It's with a lot of pleasure that I present to you the Executive Director of Tyler Civic Theater, Deanna Hargrove.
What Allison didn't, I project, I'm sorry. I really don't even need this, but I'll use it because I want to set a good example. What Allison didn't tell you is that we've been on stage together many times. I've played his wife and I've played his daughter. Who can say that? Isn't that great? But if you haven't been to Tyler Civic Theater to see Allison in a play, you need to do that. But I want to back up just a little bit and tell you just so many things. First of all, one of the first questions was, by Dr. Edwards, was what brought me to Tyler to begin with. In 1991, we came to visit family land. We had a little place on 20 some odd acres between Lindale and Van. And going back to Dallas, my husband said, you know, sometimes I wish we didn't have to go back to the rat race. And I said, well, why don't we move here? He said, would you really, really live out here, like in the country? And I said, I would love it. And all I ever wanted was roots, and my children to have roots. And now my daughter lives in Bullard on Burkett Road because she is a Burkett, or Burkett, as she says. And my grandchildren go to school in the area, and I love the community. But the best thing happened to me because I had a passion for theater arts. And when I was able to join Tyler Civic Theater, it was an amazing day. And so then I was the new kid on the block. There were so many board members who were able to just rattle off history, amazing history of this organization. And they would share stories about Al Gillum, and they would share stories about Mildred Stringer and others. Some others are probably in this very room, as a matter of fact. There's a long legacy. So in 2023, we'll celebrate our 75th year consecutive. Thank you. That really is something. You may not know this, but the original Al Gillum stage, which is in the Rogers Children's Theater, the original building that was built between 48 and 49, it is the longest continually operating theater around in North America. So we actually are a part of national history. And I mean, if Tyler didn't have enough things to brag about, there's one more. So just put that little piece of information in your pocket whenever you're telling people about our wonderful city. So that's something else that we can all be proud of, and we can all participate with. Now, a number of things have happened. In the 80s, there was a tragic fire that made the facility unusable, but they didn't stop having plays. They continued on and made buildings in the women's center. Oh my goodness, so many different places. They've kind of bounced around until finally the repair was done and they resumed plays. So that was one thing that happened. And then we lost our founder, Al Gillum, in '88. And John Woods came on board, and some of you may have seen plays under the direction of John Woods. He was there for 20 years as well. So the first 40 years was Al, the next 20 was John Woods, and I now have the pleasure of standing in those very big shoes. And it is a big job, but we do things a little bit differently than we have before. Both of those gentlemen were resident directors, and so they primarily directed all of the plays. And we would have one guest director per year in the beginning. Well, it's evolved from there. When I came on board, I was actually hired, as Allison said in my introduction, to grow a children's program. How very exciting that in 1996, it became a priority for the board and volunteers of Tyler Civic Theater. They realized that they couldn't sell tickets because all of the tickets were held by season ticket holders. They just sort of rearranged them, had them coming on different nights and moving people around. But we weren't growing because all the seats were filled. It was a small theater. It had 192 seats. And those were 192 very small seats because in the 40s, I don't know, people were smaller. It's just a fact. But it became necessary to think about growing the theater physically and in the facility. And so, I know, I relate to that too. And so a fundraising campaign was begun. And by the year 2000, we were able to open the Braithwaite Theater, which is, and now we have a $2 million complex. If you've not been there lately, like in the last 21 years, then you really need to come and see Tyler Civic Theater again. It's significant, and it's still theatering around. We held with the tradition, but it does have some capability to move to a thrust stage, if you know that, or a proscenium. I'll just give you a little theater lesson. Proscenium's like most theaters. Looks like you're watching a television and you're sitting out in the audience and you're seeing it from one direction. So with seats all the way around us, you know, your back is to the audience. It can be a little different. You don't have scenic capabilities because you don't have walls where you can put up a lot of scenery. You have to be creative in how that's done. So on your table, I have some information. The first is a brochure that opens a trifold brochure, and that tells you about our current season. And we are nearing the end of our season now. The next to the last play is about to go on stage. We open October 17th. That is Proof. Proof is a drama. Now, this one will not draw the crowds that we were blessed to have during the summer. We had my favorite show. I begged for 18 years until finally they let us do West Side Story. They said, we'll never get the dancers. We got the dancers. And it was amazing. Anybody in this room see West Side Story this summer? Ah, boy, you guys need to come out. We also had a production of Beauty and the Beast, and it was also amazing. And I'm very proud that we also had Matilda the Musical. And the reason I'm proud of that one, although it was a smaller production, is because it was an all-child performance. And so even in the tech booth, we had some of our students. So our students learn everything about theater. So every dollar that's donated to Tyler Civic Theater, a large portion of that goes towards our children's theater because it is a growing, thriving part of what we do. And it's part of the reason that we have grown so greatly. So now we still have the original theater. It's been completely remodeled. The Rogers Foundation came along 20 years ago and made a significant gift that allowed us to renovate it. That's when I came on board, and they decided to add, for the first time ever, to have 2 employees at Tyler Civic Theater. And I became the director of education. And so now that is a significant part of what we do. The original, or the new theater, the Braithwaite Theater, holds at capacity 370, if everybody wants to sit down. Fire code says 400, but we don't know where we're going to put, oh, the other 30, I guess, are on stage, right? There you go. So we have a lovely lobby, we have concessions, we even have dessert theater once a year, we have a Mother's Day brunch, we have a lot of different activities that are just significant and fun. So if you've not been engaged with us before, you really need to think about it. Makes a great date night, it's a fantastic place to bring your grandchildren. I have 4 and I bring them often. So that's a little bit about what's happening at the theater. But now let me tell you what happened when COVID happened. For the first time ever, we were facing the potential of closing down for an entire season. In fact, it was more than 7 months that we had no shows. However, in that very first month, in the month of March, Allison will remember this well because one of the first visitors I had when I got the news that we had to shut down the 2 shows that were currently in rehearsal. One was West Side Stories. It was originally planned for 2020. And that one went away. And then we had a couple of other, well, actually that was a summer program that went away. But we also had 2 other straight plays that were closed down. So it was shut down, shut down, shut down, shut down. Shows that were either in rehearsal, had been cast, et cetera, et cetera. We've done workshops. We had, hired the professionals needed to make these things happen. So there was a lot of confusion and frustration. And I had been on a long needed vacation and was out of the country. And so I came back to that. And it was frightening. But Allison and David Stein, many of you know David Stein, were 2 of the first people to contact me, and both of them were very encouraging. David said, I've been looking at Tyler Civic Theater for a long time as a nonprofit. He said, tell me about your income. And I said, let me tell you about our income. It's 93% earned and only 7% donated. And he said, that's just not going to work. He said, you've got to, if you don't turn it around, you have to at least balance it out. I said, I agree. It's been a goal for a long time, but now it's a necessity. So with looking at closure for several months, it was time to kind of reorganize, re-energize, and think how we were going to get through that year and then start this year, 2021. And so that's when I changed hats, as Allison mentioned. And Allison was such an encouragement at that time as well. He listened to me whine a little bit, helped me through the thinking process, and pretty soon we came up with a plan. Am I blocking anything?
No,
Okay,
you're good.
great.
No, I just, so that you're not, I'm just adjusting.
Oh,
For
okay.
those that
I'm
are
sorry.
watching
I'm
online.
really a pacer. You should see me. You know, I'm really
Well,
going.
I can do that too, but where you are,
Okay.
great.
Go ahead and eat your dinner. So when COVID happened, we reorganized just a little bit. The board tightened up, and we came together and said, okay, what is it we're doing well? What value do we have to the community, et cetera, et cetera. And folks, I mean, there are so many worthy organizations out there that are in need of financial support. There is no doubt. But what theater does, and what the performing arts do, the singing, the dancing, the acting, the sharing of stories, because that's what drama is a sharing of stories on stage. It's a dramatic telling. And many times, in fact, it's one part of our children's theater is, to bring history to life. And we partner with the schools, et cetera. And so, that's got to be, that has to be a focus for our community as well, because it's not just about taking care of the sick, putting food in boxes, although those things must be done and they must be priority. The other thing that needs to happen is we need to feed our souls. We need to have something hopeful. We need to have something redemptive, right? And so I say fill the churches first and then the theaters. Because those are two places that you can go where you can interact with others. In the theater, you have the ability, of course, to express our actors and singers, dancers, they're all expressing themselves. And the community comes there to be a part of that. And live theater is so amazing. Unlike what we did for, about a year, we all sat at home and watched the same movies over and over because there were no movies. New movies weren't coming out. And so we watched our old DVDs, et cetera, et cetera. Well, theater is live. There's no two performances that are ever the same. We will do this play 12 times. However, no two performances will be exactly the same, especially not if Allison's in it. Can I just say that? I go, that's not your line. That's not your line. I had to just do that. I'm so sorry. Forgive me.
I'm used to it.
That's okay. He picked me up off the floor a time or two. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I have high regard for him because the last play that I did direct was Breakfast at Tiffany's. So it was the next one up when COVID happened. So we went ahead and had auditions, but we had them for the first time ever on Zoom. We had rehearsals on Zoom. We rehearsed for 7 months on Zoom. And we finally got to get together just a few weeks before we opened. And we did open. We had small audiences, and then we did Still Magnolias, and so we just kept theater alive, even when we had a small audience, and we've adjusted. You have a little sticker, that little square box with the theater, with the mask. So that's our logo with an added mask, and we put those on seats. Folks, we were doing shows with 25% of our seats filled. And it doesn't take much to figure out that we have to have 75% of our seats filled to make $1 to sustain the organization whatsoever. Playmaking is very expensive. I don't think anybody realizes what it costs to put on a play. Just a production is an amazing thing, but a musical is, it's an exaggeration of that. You may see royalties for a play of $2,000 for the run of a play, but for a musical, they're all over $10,000 just to get the rights to put on the play, to have the music. And so when you see the dollars flying, you're thinking, oh my goodness, where's all that money going? Well, I'm one of 3 full-time employees, and we have been compared And actually, we're pretty much celebrated. I served on the board for Texas Nonprofit Theaters in the Fort Worth area is where their main office is. And I served on that board for about 8 years. And I can tell you that, you know, we are kind of, they don't know what to think of us. They say, how do you do what you do, which is 3 employees? I said, because it's also a community of volunteers. And so that's the other thing. So while I'm here, I want to just say, please come support the theater. Come to shows, come be part of what we're doing. Come enjoy yourselves. But I also want to say, if you have time, this community has an amazing ability to come in and support in so many ways. It doesn't matter what your talent or passion may be, we have a place for you. You might be handing out programs, you may be in the concession stand, might be greeting people, handing out masks. You never know what we might have you doing. We may have you helping with costumes behind the scenes. We have volunteers that come in and bring food. So there are all kinds of ways to get involved with what Tyler Civic Theater is doing. But if you have a talent, can I just say, you don't have to be a professional. It is a community theater. No prior experience is required. Just come on in. We love to bring in new people. I pride myself on the fact that in all the shows I've directed, an average of 1/3 of my cast members have been new people, new to the area. And that's how you grow. That's how you bring people in. That and through the children's theater as well. The children's theater is especially wonderful, and I love what we do there. And you can tell, I mean, I was passionate about it enough that that's what brought me there. I took a half cut in pay in what I was doing prior to that to come to Tyler Civic Theater, to come to work there. But it is my passion. And how many people get to get up and do what they love every day? You know? Yeah, a few people raise their hand. That's good. That's good, but not enough. That's exactly right. So what I like to tell parents, you know, we have many parents that say, well, you know, my child is really shy, or my child is precocious and I need somewhere for that energy to go. They bring their children to us for, you know, many different reasons. But here's the thing. In life, most of the children that we work with won't go to Los Angeles and make movies. They might not go to Broadway and perform on the stage or tour worldwide. Some of them will, and some of them have. However, in fact, one's in New York right now, and very excited that they're about to reopen. But this is the thing. All of the children that come through there gain so much more. Every one of those children, like everyone in this room, will someday need to stand in front of an audience and do what I'm doing right now, what all of the other speakers before me have done, and what most of you probably do in your professional life, in your retired life, etc., and certainly in your church life. They're going to need to stand up in front of a Sunday school class, make a political speech, or represent a candidate, and make a persuasive speech why you should vote for this candidate. Maybe something else, another civic organization. But in some way, all of us have an opportunity and a need to stand up in front of people. And what I'm doing right now is more terrifying than even death to many people. And I mean, some of you know what I'm talking about from personal experience, or you've seen it in someone, maybe within your family, maybe your own children. And so what we offer is poise and confidence, a presence, the ability to stand in front of an audience and speak, and to communicate well, and to present themselves well, because we want these children to succeed in life. Yesterday, I wrote still another letter of recommendation. I get asked often to write letters for students who want to go into college, and for students who are moving from their college careers into the workforce, and they need letters of recommendation. And it's my honor and my privilege to do that. And I'm able to speak about their leadership and about their teamwork and those kinds of things, because when you think about playmaking, I mean, our job is to make it look easy, so that you walk in there and it looks like we just came out on stage and started singing and dancing, and we just had a good time, and so did you. You laughed, you cried, you clapped, you left. That's not what happens. It takes months and months to prepare a show. And so that's a good teaching tool for the young people as well. So if I haven't convinced you enough, are there any questions out there? Maybe something I can tell you about Tyler Civic Theater. I'm sure I haven't covered not even a tenth of what I'd like to be able to cover, but I do want to take a couple of minutes to see if there are any questions, and then I have a couple of things to wrap up. Anyone have any questions so far about anything I've said, anything about the history? Dr. Edwards, could I just ask you to say a thing or two about what you shared with me?
The Tyler Civic Theater originally started out back in the 1930s. It's the first building they built was the one down there at Houston and Glenwood that later became the Jewish synagogue. They had to disband during World War II. Al Gillen's been a great leader. There've been so many wonderful people grace the stage at the Tyler Civic Theater. And the new facility that opened several years ago is one of the best theaters in the round anywhere in the country. Everyone needs to support it. It's our own local talent.
Yes, thank you. So it's so wonderful to hear that from one of your own. So inside this is a program from a couple of shows ago, Crimes of the Heart. I chose this one because in the front it has a thank you, and you'll see Dr. Edwards' name. He was one of the heroes that came along, because let me tell you, when I had to lay off everybody, all of the contract instructors, all of the teachers, the office staff members, and the tech director, etc., and we had to lay off everyone, and we had to go home, shutter, and wait to see what was going to happen during COVID. And but you know what? Everyone on that list of people, the people I just mentioned, all the employees, the volunteers, etc., and they would participate in Zoom calls, and we kept discussing, how do we do this? How do we do this? How do we do this? And it was just absolutely miraculous to me. We set a goal of raising an entire year's budget, which is about $300,000. And it took a little over a year to do that, but we did. And that sustained us through the entire year. Thank you very much. It was quite a feat, but it didn't happen alone. It happened with community supporters. Some of them are listed here. I'd love for you to read through those. I'm doing what I just said earlier. Shouldn't be done. Don't talk with your hands when you have a microphone. Yeah. And you'll notice on here too that Allison Cambray's name is on the list. And so, like I said, heroes come in all shapes and sizes. We have different levels of giving. If you want to give to the theater, buying a ticket is a great way to support. We have a flex ticket where you can buy a flex pass, gains you access to every play. So if you buy one for the season after this, one flex ticket, one person can have every single production on the list, which is phenomenal. And all for the cost of $150 is what it will be this next year. $125 and $175 this year, you'll see in that brochure. There are ways to give. You can, Allison's going to have a plaque. Did you know you get a granite star? Yeah, he gets a granite star on the wall for his gift. That's right. And Dr. Edwards is part of our circle of friends. So it's the Al Gillum Circle. And that's a very prestigious club. I'll call it a club because these are the folks that we're going to go back to again and again and say, thank you. Look at what a difference. We're composing a letter and a little event coming up pretty soon that wraps up what we've done this last year, because it has been amazing. And it was phenomenal to have I think all but 2 performances of both West Side Story and Beauty and the Beast sold out this time. Sold out.
Good.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. And they were good shows. We have a really great season coming up, but I'm not permitted to tell you because we haven't done our big reveal. That happens October 21st. So be looking for it on Facebook or go to our website and you'll see what's coming up next year. Yay, a question.
Yay. How do we go about, where do we go to as far as volunteering and stuff like that with help?
Well, you just did. Because I guarantee you I'll be contacting you.
I just know there's probably other people, and I'm just speaking, for
yeah,
we are interested in getting time. I mean, what is the
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. So what I should have brought with me is a little card to sign up. If you go to the website, you can sign up for the newsletter, and it tells you all of those opportunities. Also, if you just call us and say, hey, send me one of those new brochures, we are devising a brand new brochure right now for volunteers, because we really haven't had one document that explained what it means to volunteer, what kind of time's required, that sort of thing. Where do you go? If you want to get involved in a particular production, example, Matilda the Musical is coming up. So October is 17th and 18th, or is it 18th? 18th and 19th is a Monday and Tuesday, and those are auditions. So if you want to be involved in that, not necessarily just be in the show, but if you want to go be part of that one production, then show up at audition and say, hey, here I am. I'm willing to help backstage, in the tech booth, wherever you need me, handing out brochures. That's a great way to do it. We also have some workshops for other things like producing a play. So our board members will partner with a community partner to produce a play. And in the movies, producing means that you write a big fat check. And it doesn't necessarily mean that, we'll take your check if you like. Well, write one, won't we, Allison? Yes, we will. However, what producing means at Tyler Civic Theater, it means that you go, you support, you help provide the things they need. They're looking for a certain kind of shoes, certain kind of props, and you say, let me get online and look for it. Let me see what I can do. They're looking for props. Does anybody have a wicker rocker for a front porch? Why? Let me ask my friends, and so that's how it happens. So if you ever want to hold a meeting like this at Tyler Civic Theater during the day, call me, no charge. Wow. We invite the community to come in. We love the community to come in during business hours. In the evenings, we do rent out the facilities when it's available, and having 2 stages, we now have the flexibility to do that a little bit. So there have been some amazing events. We've had, let me see, there's a hair show. That was one of my favorites. And so some guy, I don't know, he was French, but he came in with these models. They all had long hair, and they'd all signed up to get it cut off. And he did these amazing haircuts, all with lights flashing and sound. There was dynamic music, and all the salon owners in the area and outside of the area came, and it was just a big to-do. That was really interesting. That was a really interesting one. We've had weddings. My son got married at the theater. Aww. So, yeah, a lot of really unique opportunities there. So think about Tyler Civic Theater as well as Rose Garden, and woohoo, pretty soon, as you may know, there's a lot of activity across the street. We are going to have more parking spaces available to us. We're going to have a beautiful park. I think we're going to see more visitors in the Rose Garden area. And the Rose Garden's a draw. Susan Tomei-Morphew tells me that whenever she does a survey and she asks, besides supporting Cowan, who else do you support? She said, you're the very next thing. And I said, well, that's good. And one of my little slogans is that we're the best thing next to the Rose Garden. And so that's where we are, literally next to the Rose Garden. And now we're going to have this beautiful park out in front. It's going to have an outdoor stage area. We're going to have the conference center. So a lot of things to be proud of, excited about in our community, and we get to be right there in the heart of it all. But again, it wouldn't be what it is without our volunteers. Now, I also want to tell you that our board of directors are volunteers as well. And so we currently have 15 board members, some probably, I think they're listed in the program. You can read their names. We have another couple of people that have recently been nominating, because we do have a rotating board, and folks go off, new folks come in. It keeps things fresh. But if you have an interest in serving on a board, I would encourage you, you don't have to know anything about theater. What we really, really, really need is we need people with connections. We need people who can help us with a number of other things. Trust me, you don't want me to do all of the accounting, because I have a great imagination and I'm a theater person. And so the numbers get really dramatic whenever I get a hold of them. Did you know? So there are, needs for someone to occasionally look over documents and tell us, is this legally sound? Is this a good agreement? That sort of thing. Our utilities, overlooking our utilities, and just, bargaining for something better. We just recently had a board member do that for one of our utility companies, and it was amazing. We're going to save so much money this next year because we've made, one small change. So serving on the board just means being a good steward of the money, being a good leader, being involved, and being supportive. We do have an opening night celebration for the opening of each show. So because the next show up is Proof, and I think there's a poster over here. I'm going to hold it up. It's kind of a somber poster because it is a dramatic play. Yes, that's it. Thank you very much. So Proof was made into a movie, and if you haven't seen it before, the stage play is quite different. The movie has you all over the city of Chicago. Proof is set on the back porch and in the yard of a professor. I don't want to give away the details, but he's a mathematician. So this is a really smart play, okay? This is not I Love Lucy. This is one that makes you think. To follow the dialogue is just pretty much phenomenal. Things that I had forgotten years ago in math. But his daughter is beginning to show signs of detachment, and she's closing down like her father did because he was so brilliant. He had just had so much happening in his mind that he lost touch with reality and the people in his life. And so this is a story about relationships, about families, about a mathematician, yes. And it's also a story about bereavement. And it's real life. It's real life drama, but it's a fantastic story. Makes a great date night. It has some strong language, so I'm going to tell you not to bring the little ones. I don't bring anybody under 14 because they probably will repeat what they hear, and you probably won't like it. So this is not the one for that. But Elf the Musical, bring all the little ones because it's going to be amazing. That too was made into a movie, and so if you've not seen Elf at the holiday times, then you missed something fun. Okay, so time is wrapping up here, and I don't want to dismiss any questions. Any other questions?
What time are the performances?
Thank you for asking that. The evening performances on Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights are 7:30. The Sunday matinees are at 2:30. We usually open the doors about 40 minutes prior. However, on opening night for each show, we do open even earlier than that, 6:30 in the evening on Thursday night to serve wine. And so if you have a ticket to the show, any night of the show, you can come and drink wine with us and then come back and see the show a different night if you like. Thank you for asking that.
As a big group, we were all going to go see Allison. And anyway, that's when, didn't you end up coming down sick? And they can't, so we didn't end up going. So we wanted to go as a big group, as a Rotary. So we may still do something like that.
That would be fantastic.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yes, please. You'd be so welcome to do that. So again, think about us as, a gathering place. Think about us as a support level. It talks a little bit about the support levels in the brochure. You'll see that. There's a picture of Al Gillum, and then there's another thing that says the circle, and read a little bit about that. If you have any questions, call me. I love to go do lunch. Thank you very much for lunch today, by the way.
Thank you, Deanna. It's a pleasure having you. Don't leave just yet. Okay?
Oh,
When I
am I
was-
supposed to take a curtsy?
Well, if you're gonna do that, get in front of the camera, okay? When I was 9 years old, that was back in 1970, my dad took me to see the movie Patton. And I picked up a few of the descriptive terms, and I used one of them at school next day. And it didn't turn out too well. Teachers came up and said, "William Pascal, where'd you learn that language?" From the movie. What movie was that, William? It was Patton. And who took you to see that? My dad. And my dad got an earful from my teacher that night. It's funny now, it wasn't funny then. Anyhow, Deanna, we want to present this to you from the club. This is a certificate just to show you that we're going to donate a book to the Literacy Council on your behalf.
Fantastic.
This has been a wonderful talk that you gave. Thank you for coming in. Allison, thank you for expediting this, okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We're going to bring Dr. Deanna Edwards up for just a few minutes.
Just a quick question. How many of you know what Oktoberfest is? Let me see a show of hands if you've ever been to an Oktoberfest. Want to extend a special invitation tonight. The group from the East Texas Symphony Orchestra is going to be appearing at the True Vine Brewing Company on Earl Campbell Parkway. Many of you have been out there and have enjoyed the homemade brick-fired oven pizza that Solar Bread has. The concert tonight, it's free to the public. You're all invited to come. It's from 6 to 8 p.m. If you want the Solar Bread and want to sample some of their Oktoberfest beers, come early about 5:30 to get your order, and be wonderful music and a free concert tonight. Everyone's invited.
All right, thank you, Deanna. And it's time once again for the Ace of Diamonds. We got more paper up here. Carter's got liver pills, I gotta tell you.
Get you on track.
It's time, once again, for the Ace of Diamonds. Half the drawing is for the club, half benefits the Tyler Rotary Club, half benefits the Rotary winner. If it's a guest that wins, no, it's a guest that wins, the guest gets 25%, the Rotarian host gets 25%. And Deanna, you get to pick. Right there. Everybody pull out your ticket. Last three numbers. Yes, ma'am.
795.
795. Trudy's got it. Okay, right over there, Trudy. Four parts. Oh. Okay, everybody, let's all stand. And we're going to recite the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do as Rotarians. First.
Is it true?
Second.
Is it fair to all concerned?
Third.
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
All right, guys, have a good week. We'll see you next time. Call me if you need me, and we are now dismissed.